Well, a lot of talk in my inbox on my email has been about Super Bowl XL. And of course, they're talking about a possible terrorist attack. February 3rd, which was yesterday, actually the day before yesterday now that we're into Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday, the Patriot Act was due to expire. It's being extended until March 10th. This just been done. The Rolling Stones are playing the halftime show. The tour they're coming off of, or interrupting, to play the halftime show, and 3 songs only, is called A Bigger Bang. With the Patriot Act still in limbo, Iran and their nuclear crisis looming, because they have now been Iran and their nuclear crisis looming, because they have now been referred to the United Nations Security Council. And this I've mentioned last summer that it was coming. Well, here we are now. I could conceive of an attack, a bigger bang attack on the Super Bowl, simply because that would give them the immediate access to Iran militarily and the short, fast cut way by just simply connecting the disaster to Iran. But somehow, I don't think that's going to happen. I think this has a longer fuse. I don't know how long, but I would imagine it's written in the stars, because that's what the Illuminati goes by. Gus wrote an incredible email that I want to read excerpts from. Emails are accepted, by the way, at space at 640toronto.com. Also at spaceman at 640toronto.com. The movie, Gus points out, the sum of all fears, is a nuclear explosion going off in Baltimore at the Super Bowl game. Detroit has the largest population, Islamic population. Super Bowl security company of 25 years has been replaced for the very first time for Super Bowl XL with federal agencies. Possible cover-up after the fact being put in place. There are over 10,000 security bodyguards in Detroit for the event. Our government here in Canada was put on alert. Detroit is a very dependent city on welfare assistance. Just as the Egyptian ferry disaster, all poor people who were sacrificed on that. And yes, it was not an accident. They were sacrificed. Al-Salam means spirit of peace. There will be no peace, was the answer. Detroit newspapers mentioning D-Day coming up. Newspapers in the States are printing ads with strange messages. USA Today, February 3rd edition, had AT&T ad on pages 6A and 7A. Art of War quotation. Other quotations were, "Are we there yet?" And another one, "Let's watch from Hawaii." Some people think the Super Bowl halftime show will be interrupted by a nuke in a suitcase explosion. I'm not so sure, because I can't see the Illuminati wasting black nobility's favorite rock band, the Rolling Stones. But I have to agree with you that a bigger bang is very intriguing. This is A View from Space on AM 640 Toronto Radio. Speaking of emails, one more quick email. Hello, sir. I've been aware of the New World Order's plans for a couple of years and came across MP3s of your show a few months ago. So far, out of all the folks exposing the New World Order, including Alex Jones, Jack Blood, etc., you are probably the most honest. I've just stopped listening to Alex Jones after a year because I believe he is misleading people by constantly telling his listeners that we can beat the system, which is a load of crap. I personally think he does this to stop himself from losing listeners, because after all, what would be the point in listening to him if there's nothing you can do about it? He's got a lot of films and other gear to shift and obviously some money to make. Anyway, just to let you know that I'll be doing my best to tune you in every one of your shows from now on, but that may be too difficult as I'm on the other side of the world, and by the time your show comes on, it'll be pretty late here, and I'm staying up to listen. Would put me late for work in the morning. Can you please tell me if your shows are archived at all? There's a bunch of your shows floating around on the net in MP3 format, but I would like more. Much respect. Lee, Wales, the UK. Well, I've had so many emails from people asking me about archived shows, and I just don't have that capability as yet. I've been pursuing it and have had no answer. So I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. It's A View from Space on AM 640 Toronto Radio. Coming back with the Bush connections to Iran.
Ancient mystery religions, numerology, the Holy Grail decoded, and he goes deeper than a black hole in today's headlines. This is A View from Space with the Spaceman. AM 640, Toronto Radio.
I'm the guy that calls Space on AM 640, Toronto Radio. This is A View from Space. I will say one more thing about the Super Bowl. Some people say the fix is in for the Pittsburgh Steelers to win. It's the old economy versus the new economy. You realize that, huh? Seattle, the new economy, and Pittsburgh, the old economy. And Seattle is owned by the Nordstroms. Northern Europe. Sweden, to be exact. Pretty much ties in with what I'm talking about tonight for the next hour and 40 minutes. The super race. The master race. That originally came from the Nordic countries. So will that show up in the Super Bowl? Super Bowl XL? Because they're not calling it Super Bowl 40. And 4, the number 4, by the way, is the number for the foundation. Like when you build a building. The Freemasons are the builders of the world. When you build a building, you put a foundation down, and there are 4 sides. And you build on that 4-sided foundation. We'll see. I won't actually be watching the Super Bowl to see who wins. I'll be watching to see if there is an attack. And if the cameras keep rolling to capture every second of it so that they might replay it over and over and over again, just like they did with 9/11. Somehow, miraculously, they had all the footage, including the impact of both airplanes. I hope you listen to A View from Space on AM 640 Toronto Radio when I covered the Nader brothers and how it was done. But on to Iran. Off the back burner, onto the front burner. Donnie Rumsfeld, the youngest Secretary of Defense in history over in Europe today, selling the war. John McCain, possible front runner for the next president of the United States of America, saying, I won't rule out military action, but there's many more steps to go before we get there. In other words, they're beating the war drums. And there is a connection with the Bushes. Back to Iran. And with the Nazis. The Bush family and the Rockefellers and others funded the rise of the Nazis. What were the Nazis really about? The creation of a Superman, a master race. What's the motto of Rockefeller University? For the betterment of humanity. Does this mean the betterment of a better super race? This also would explain the angel of death, Joseph Mengele, his experiments and his atrocities that still go on today. During the time of the Crusades, an evil mystical group that made its fortune through murder and blackmail came out of the Islamic world. And I mean the Islamic-controlled part of the world. Islam is not to blame. There is a group called the Illuminati that have control of the highest echelons of Islam, of Christianity, of Judaism, and are pitting them against one another. This mystical group was known as the Order of the Assassins. It was ruled by a Grand Master, had 9 levels of initiation, and basically was the first known systemic movement to create mind-controlled assassins who were promised a heavenly paradise if they managed to murder a given leader or an important person. The territory of this group literally stranded the 33rd degree parallel from Baghdad to Afghanistan with a center point in northern Iran. The cult of the assassins was almost wiped out by the Mongols.